Today I'm going to talk about a bunch of different topics actually. Dark decor inspo, living alone in an apartment, decorating with books, how I've been healing after my breakup, and a bunch of other things, because in this video I am going to be answering your questions from my Instagram stories and YouTube community post. It'll be a mix of decor stuff, cozy living stuff, YouTube stuff, personal stuff, and it's just gonna generally be a pretty chill video where you and I just cozy up together and chat. I guess it's a one-sided chat. I will be chatting at you, answering your questions and doing my best to give good answers. And if you're new here, my name is Steffi, and on this channel I give small apartment styling tips and cozy living inspiration. So let's dive right into your questions. By the way, first of all, I got a lot of responses, so I have narrowed these down a bit. So I'm not going to be answering every one of your questions. The last time I did that, I ended up having to split the video into 3 parts because it was just a lot. So I am going to do my best to edit myself and make this a one video Ask Me Anything rather than an epic trilogy. So the first question comes from Jess B. Drew, and she asks how to use books as decor. I have lots of pretty books I want to show off and have out. I think using books as decor is such a perfect way to simultaneously add your own personality and, just books that you genuinely love with a cool, aesthetically pleasing styling effect. I mean, you can keep it simple like I do. I just keep my books stacked on my coffee table or just on various surfaces. It can really be as simple as that. One thing that I do stick to myself is I don't put out just any old book. I like to have aesthetically pleasing books out. So if a book doesn't really match up with the decor of my space, I'm not gonna put it out. So you want to kind of merge the love of a book with the aesthetics of the book. And when you can marry those two, that's when you know it's a book to have out. There's also, the tried and true bookcase. If you do that, then I would just be very selective about which books you have out and balance them with various accessories. So you don't want your books to just look like they were thrown up there. You want them to look intentionally placed and balanced with other decorative items. And then there are some more creative ways. Say hello to Hilo. There are some more creative ways that you can incorporate books in your decor. For example, I just came across this reel on Instagram, which is sort of like a floating book effect using shelves that kind of disappear behind the books. That can be really interesting. And then there's another thing you can do with books, and this one is a little more controversial. I'm actually not even sure what my opinion is on this. But there's the turning the books around and having the pages out instead of the spines. Again, I don't know what I think about it. I mean, I think it's interesting and kind of cool looking, and it could be a nice way to make your books look more uniform. Oh, she is such a ham for the camera. Either way, don't overthink book styling. There's really, you can't really go wrong. And if you really have a book that you love so much, but it's not aesthetically pleasing, to hell with it. I mean, if you really want a certain book out, then leave it out. Again, no need to overthink it. Just try to keep things pretty. That's kind of my rule of thumb. Right, Hilo? Just keep things pretty, right? The next question comes from Angela Long, 6740. She asks, how does the dark aesthetic work with Christmas decorations? I'm thinking of going a little darker this year. I love this question because I love any chance to talk about dark decor. So to answer Angela's question plainly, yes, I 100% think that the dark aesthetic can and should be incorporated in your Christmas decor. I love a good dark Christmas vibe. There are a lot of like Instagram accounts and Pinterest pins that prove that a dark decor Christmas is stunning. I mean, here are just a few examples. So I definitely encourage you to not shy away from dipping your toes in the dark side this year for Christmas. And honestly, if I decorated for Christmas, which I don't, I'm honestly just too lazy. But if I were decorating for Christmas, I would definitely want to go into the dark side of the holiday aesthetic. The next question is in a similar dark decor vein, and it comes from Alina Unicycles 7896, and she asks, would you paint a room completely black/dark, including the ceiling? And yes, the answer is yes, of course. I love a room with just wall-to-wall black, including the ceiling. I think it is so chic. There are so many examples of this. And here's the thing, I've said this in a previous video, this one about dark decor that I made a while ago. A big fear that people have about going dark, and especially going so dark that you're even painting the ceiling, a big fear that people have is that it will make the space feel closed in. And I mean, I guess it depends on the space, but I think overall, it actually does the opposite. It expands the space. And the way I think about it is, think about the night sky. When you look up at the sky at night, does it feel closed in? No, it feels huge. It's the sky. It feels vast and open and rich. So I personally believe that when you paint a room dark and include the ceiling as well, you're actually creating a similar sense of expansiveness that the night sky has. And just as an example from my own experience, in my last apartment, that wall that we painted black, along with a couple other smaller walls, I mean, I think what bothered me about that is that it was not really going full force. I mean, we had no choice. Like, one wall was completely windows. So obviously there was a big wall that couldn't be painted black. So I personally believe that when it comes to painting a space a dark color, go big or go home. If you're gonna make a dramatic statement, commit to it. The next question comes from Starry Night 30, and they ask, I haven't lived on my own yet, and hopefully I'm able to move soon. How does it feel to live alone? It feels exquisite. I love living alone. I think that it is the best way to live for me. I honestly think that I might spend my entire life living alone. I mean, I'm coming from a very specific place in that I don't want kids. Marriage is not really like a huge priority for me. And I just love being alone. So all of these things together make living alone just a really good fit for me personally. It's so liberating when you live alone. There's really nothing like it. It's a level of freedom that is just unparalleled. Like, it really is like my own personal utopia up in here. So I would prescribe living alone to anyone, you know? So I love living alone is what I'm saying. The next question comes from July Moon 82, and they ask, how did you get into being a decor content creator / YouTuber? Would you consider being a freelance decorator either in person or virtually? So to answer the first part of your question, July Moon 82, I got into being a content creator. Actually, it all started with a specific article that I found. It was a Lonnie magazine article, and it was about two content creators. One I don't remember, but the other one was the Tiny Canal Cottage. And it was all about how these two content creators document their lives in their small living situations and post beautiful decor images from their homes on their Instagram and have blogs. And at the time, I had recently moved into my studio apartment, and I looked around and I thought, you know, not to toot my own horn, but I thought it looks pretty damn good in here. I could have an account like that on Instagram. I could have a blog. I have a lot to say about living in an apartment and decorating an apartment, and thus Moda Misfit was born. And after blogging for a bit, I decided it was time to get my ass in front of the camera and start a YouTube channel. Because blogging, it was great, but it just wasn't really quite as fulfilling as I wanted it to be. YouTube, on the other hand, is very fulfilling. And I used to be an actor. That's what I went to New York for, was to go to NYU's Tisch School of the Arts. And so it just made sense to utilize my acting experience in combination with Moda Misfit. So that's pretty much the Moda Misfit origin story. In addition to asking how I got into being a decor content creator / YouTuber, they also asked, would you consider being a freelance decorator either in person or virtually? And yes, I would consider that, and I have considered that for years. I've thought about offering virtual one-on-one services, helping people style their spaces in a virtual sense. And yeah, I just haven't really figured out how I would make it valuable. You know what I mean? Like, I have my online course, Small Apartment Styling School. That is something I created to help apartment dwellers discover their style and decorate their apartment like from start to finish. And what's great about that is it's self-paced and you can binge it Netflix style or take your time with it because you get lifetime access to it. And I really liked the idea of having like just something packaged up that people could take in their own time and apply to apartment after apartment after apartment, like every time you move, you know what I mean? But yeah, I also really like the idea of helping people one-on-one and providing more of a service. I just haven't really figured out what that should be. Like, is it just doing online shopping for people? Is it creating mood boards? Is it helping them discover their style and helping them decide, you know, what they should go for, like what aesthetic they should go for? If you have any ideas about what you think a virtual interior stylist should do, like what you think would be helpful, please comment below. Like, I want to create a service that would actually be helpful. So yeah, if you have any ideas, please comment below. The next question comes from Alex Fails. Where did you get those black wire vases with the clear tube thing? And what are they called? Well, Alex Fails, which I highly doubt you fail, I bet you win. I got the vases you're talking about in a few different places. The large one I got from Pottery Barn. They don't sell it anymore, otherwise I would link to it. The little one is also from Pottery Barn. Again, they don't sell it anymore. And then the medium-sized one I got at TJ Maxx. And since none of these specific vases are sold anymore, if I were you, I would just Google apothecary vases or maybe test tube vases, and you'll get a whole bunch of results. Specifically, in my recent Whimsy Goth Decor video, I included some vases that look so much like my large Pottery Barn apothecary vase. So I will link to those specific vases in the description below. I mean, I think that's about as close as you're gonna get. They look almost exactly like the one I have. The next question comes from Jacqueline, and she asks, favorite cartoon characters, And what do you do for work now? I'd love a work from home. Well, to answer the first question, I have a lot of favorite cartoon characters, especially if we count anime as cartoons, which it's obviously so much more than just cartoons. But I'm gonna include them anyway, just because I love any opportunity to talk about anime. So my favorite anime is One Piece. A lot of you know this. Where is it? Oh, it's under my butt. I have this One Piece pillow that my brother got me a few Christmases ago. I'm using it to give me a little more height for the camera framing. I also am a huge Adventure Time fan, so honestly, I couldn't even say a favorite character from that because I love them all. I also love the anime Magi, and Morgiana is my favorite character from that. I actually cosplayed as Morgiana a few Sakura cons ago, and that was very fun. And then of course there's the 90s kid nostalgia cartoons. You have Doug, Rugrats, Hey Arnold, Ren and Stimpy. Those shows really were the backbone of my childhood. And then to answer the second part of your question, what do I do for work now? I do a bunch of things. I work at a tech company here in Seattle doing administrative support tasks. And I also have a web design business where I design Squarespace websites. If you need a website designed, I will link to my design website below. I love designing websites. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's kind of been on the back burner ever since I kind of went through that time of upheaval a few months ago, but I would love to get that back on track because it's not just physical spaces that I love to decorate. I also love to decorate digital spaces as well. And then there's, of course, Moda Misfit that I make some money from. So I have a few things going on. The next question comes from Collier Out. I was about to say outhouse. It's art house. Collier Art House, and they ask, how do you occupy your time alone? I live quite simply. I love to just cozy up in my apartment all by myself with Hilo, of course, and I love watching TV shows. It's a passion of mine. I truly love TV. I've seen more TV shows than the average person, and I pride myself on that. I also love playing video games on my Nintendo Switch, specifically cozy games and Legend of Zelda. I have replayed Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and Breath of the Wild so many times, over and over. I'm actually on a Zelda break right now because I was really overdoing it for a bit there. And I'm currently playing Coffee Talk 2, which is peak cozy gaming. Oh my goodness. Highly recommend Coffee Talk 1 and 2. They are so relaxing, and the lo-fi music is so soothing and beautiful. And it's like barely a game. It doesn't really ask much of you. It's more like an interactive novel. It's mostly just reading and getting stories from the characters and making them various coffee drinks. It's so lovely. And then a huge amount of my alone time is spent editing videos. Let me tell you right now, these videos that I upload onto YouTube, they take up the majority of my life. So most of the time you can find me just being a little editing goblin on my couch and putting these videos together. And it is one of my favorite things in the entire world to do. I love video editing. I have loved video editing since high school. I can do it all day. And I do. The next question comes from Chocolatrix. Chocolatrix. Sorry. And they ask, how are you healing? How am I healing? I am healing well. It's been a very transformative past few months. In case you don't know what I recently went through, I'll just catch you up real quick. In August, a few months ago, I moved out of the apartment I was sharing with my then boyfriend and moved into this apartment. And that was a very, very painful process. And I was very heartbroken and devastated because he was my best friend. I mean, I was and still will be very vague about what happened there, but he and I really were best friends. So I don't want you to think that he's like evil or anything. We're actually on good terms now, which is really nice and has helped the healing process. He and I are on speaking terms. It's been really nice, and honestly, it was a really tough time for both of us. He was going through something very, very intense. It was like a demon had infiltrated our relationship for the last 3 years, and this demon brought him down and made him not his best self. And he hasn't danced with that demon for about 7 months now. So I'm proud of him for that. And we've been able to stay in communication and be on good terms with each other. So anyway, so to answer your question, I have been healing well. It's been a strange time because I still feel like I am rediscovering myself and I lost touch with myself. I still feel kind of like an empty shell of myself in a lot of ways. So I'm hoping that through the therapy that I'm doing, I will be able to regain my identity and also just my love for myself. I've honestly been filled with a lot of self-loathing for a while, so that's not good. But I'm getting there. So and the final question comes from Lisa King 1247, and she asks, I'll preface this by saying I am not a cat person. How dare you? I'm massively allergic and have a slightly larger than toy poodle. But Hilo appears in all your videos and you two are clearly extremely close. Yes, we are. How about some deets on Hilo, like age, how you two came together, etc. So Hilo's origin story is I adopted her from the Seattle Humane Society back in 2018, and at that time she was 1 year old and she was so skinny that she almost looked like a kitten. Like, she was just tiny. I don't know what she was going through in life, but on her paperwork it said she was semi-feral, so she was living a rough life. And so I brought her home and we were pretty much immediately in love. I mean, she was scared and nervous at first, but before long she was sitting on my lap, licking my cheek, and just absolutely obsessed with me. And she's been obsessed with me ever since. She follows me around from room to room. We sleep together every night. She's on my lap most of the time. She is the closest thing I will ever have to a child. So there you have it. Those were the answers to your Ask Me Anything questions. Let me know in the comments below what you think about me offering interior styling services virtually. What would you find helpful? I'm very curious. And remember, your apartment is destined to be pretty, and you are pretty powerful.